Welcome, THV Nation. We are so excited, so honored, huge privilege today to have Pastor Ramiro Pena with us. He is a pastor of Christ the King Church in Waco, Texas. He is also an advisor to the Trump campaign. Absolute wonderful spiritual father to so many. And we were having a discussion the other day, and he opened up my eyes to some truth that's out there that I absolutely had to bring to you. So we're going to be talking about some of the pro-life truths or dismantling some of the pro-choice lies, if you will. It's going to be a very, very informative broadcast. I can't wait for you to dive in. So pay attention. Welcome, Pastor. I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Melissa. It's a privilege to be with you and your wonderful audience. Thank you.
Yes. So I want to dive right in because this is a huge topic to me. I have, background for my audience that's not familiar. Way back in my early corporate days, I was actually a treasurer with National Women's Political Caucus, who was actually one of the top lobbying organizations for pro-choice. And although my personal stance, and you're going to hear this in this conversation, my personal stance in my 20s was I would never have an abortion personally, but I'm not going to take that right from another woman. So we're going to get into that in a minute. But back in that day is when they started talking about what was called partial birth abortion back then. And I didn't know. I mean, honestly, I'm just going to be frank. I didn't know anything about abortion, really. And so I dug in and wanted to see what this partial birth abortion was all about. And came across some videos, was incredibly mortified. At this time, I already had my first two boys. And I just could not believe that partial birth abortion actually existed. So I showed up to our scheduled board meeting with just questions. I was young, and I wanted to know, are we really supporting this? Is this really a real thing? And I will just be frank and say that there was no discussion even allowed. The fact that I even questioned it, I was excused. And that opened my eyes right then and there that something was not right. And so when Pastor shared with me this booklet that he has in his possession that we are going to get into your hands and every American's hands that we possibly can, I literally saw with my own eyes the lie that I believed and how it had been propagated. So I was tooled. You know what's going? Oh my gosh, I actually fell for one of these lies. So, Ramiro, why don't you share with them? I didn't know anything about this man and his background and who he was. And so why don't you share with the audience how you came across this booklet and who it's about and all that kind of good stuff.
Thank you, Melissa. Well, many Catholic pro-life activists know his name, but almost no Protestant pro-life activists know this name. And it's the name Dr. Bernard Nathanson, who really is the abortion king. And he is the mobilizer of the modern abortion movement in the late 60s, early 70s. He was the one that really mobilized and was the precursor for the abortion movement and even Roe v. Wade. So I'm glad you brought up partial birth abortion. So let me just start with that just very briefly before I get into the book. I have in my hand a ballpoint pen. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's a simple ballpoint pen. And nobody will dispute this is a pen. Okay. What its potential is, what you can do with it, what it is. It's a pen. But the pen, the writing part, the head, if you will, is not sticking out. if you stick the head out, it's still a pen. It's still a writing utensil. Nobody disputes it's a pen. Without the head sticking out, it's a pen. Nobody disputes this is a ballpoint pen. Now, what women are lied about, so many lies they're told about having an abortion, and I'm going to specifically speak to a partial birth abortion. This is a baby. And just because you pull the head out briefly, it's still a baby.
Yeah.
And this is how a partial birth, pulling the head out and then destroying the life, and I won't go into the details, but that's what's done. And the life is removed from the head and the baby goes limp with excruciating pain. It's still a baby, okay? And so I still encounter pastors that are unfamiliar with that phrase, partial birth abortion. And it's the most heinous procedure. It's not taught in any medical school. It is in no way ever performed for the sake of saving the life of a mother. There's just no medical or scientific evidence that can be done. You know, a C-section can be done. There's just no defense medically or scientifically for performing such a procedure. So the person in that we're discussing today, Dr. Bernard Nathanson, let me tell you the good part first. He did become a Christian, converted, and that's why we have the information we have about the lies he told. He himself is responsible for tens of thousands of abortions himself. He aborted his own children. And Planned Parenthood became profitable when he began to train Planned Parenthood doctors on various abortion procedures and to show them how much money they could make. So he is one of the founders of NARAL, the National Association for the Repeal of Abortion Laws. Okay, a founder. Now, he pushed it across the country, removing state by state laws that put any kind of restriction on abortion. And he is principally responsible for the movement that got Roe v. Wade in place. Fast forward a number of years with the advent of ultrasound. He saw ultrasound. He saw how a baby squirmed and fought against being destroyed, and he was shocked. He went into deep depression. He said, "Oh my God, what if we were wrong?" Yeah. And with the advance in science that took place, he pulled away and completely renounced everything he had done and the lies he had told. So some of you may remember the movie he produced called The Silent Scream in the 90s, and he was shown in Congress. There's big debate in the early 90s over partial birth abortion in particular. Well, he's the one that produced it and showed a baby in the womb avoiding the needle and the pain that actually took place. And so we know the babies feel pain. There's no debate about that. And so a pro-life activist Catholic priest ministered to him, Dr. Nathanson, led him to faith in Christ. He became a Christian, and he recanted all the lies he told. And he died just a few years ago, but not before my good friend Terry Beatley interviewed him, produced a significant book on his life, and then this little booklet with the truths, the basic truths, called Fact Check, that demonstrate an 8-point strategy for lying and getting abortion to be more acceptable in the nation. And so these really are quotes from him and the lies he told, and it's really quite significant and telling that the person that led the effort became the greatest champion exposing the lies that were told. This is a classic Saul to Paul conversion experience, but the media snuffed it out and just kind of buried the story, if you will.
Yeah, and such an important story. I mean, for me, so I read it, and you guys get this book. Ramiro's got, we're gonna put up on here how you get a hold of the book. Obviously, you can go to ramiropena.org, but it's a really quick read. There's nothing flowery and fluffy. It is like facts after facts after facts. Read it really quick on the plane ride, and you need to be informed because literally we are all hearing still these lies, right? Remember, I mean, that all the lies that he helped propagate are still the ones that are propping this up today.
Yes, so that's exactly right. So if you can, we can put up on the screen how you can order it. Just go to ramiropena.org. At the top, there's a little tab that says merchandise. And there you see on the screen, you can get these. Order one for $5.10. You can get a bundle of 20 for $60, which brings the price down to $3. Or a case of 200 for $440, and the price per booklet is $2.20. Listen, we're simply trying to get these out. I'll pay for all the shipping. If you just order, I'm trying to get these out all across America with the simple message: vote pro-life. However you're going to vote, please support people that you know are pro-life getting into office, and help me. And people can help, even just make a donation to help me get these, because I have to print them, get them shipped to me, and then ship them out. So we're just trying to cover our costs, and you can help me get this in the hands of pastors. I'm sending them across the way, giving them away to people. And Melissa said, let me help you. So I'm so glad you're helping to do this, and that your audience has a chance to listen. May I read just a little portion of it, Melissa?
Please do. Please
do.
Again,
fact check. Who was America's abortion king? You open up, it says that there's one doctor that is primarily responsible for unleashing the abortion monster on America. His name is Dr. Bernard Nathanson. Most have never heard his name. But again, he claimed responsibility for the death of over 75,000 unborn babies, including 2 of his own children. He personally aborted 5,000 babies, instructed doctors how to perform abortion on at least 10,000 babies. And while he ran the largest abortion facility in the United States, another 60,000 babies were slaughtered under his management. Now, that's from him. He said that. He fast-tracked the nation's racist population control plan of Planned Parenthood founder, Margaret Sanger. I mean, he just was able to fast-track it because of all the training he did. Now, listen to this one statistic that'll really grab your attention. It led to the disproportionate number of abortions in minority communities with devastating results. Approximately 35% of all abortions are of African-American children, though Black women of childbearing age are only 3 to 4% of the population. Get that. Black women of childbearing age are only 3 to 4% of the population, yet they account for 35% of all the abortions. You know, Black lives do matter. Every life matters. And I wish that more people would get an understanding and a revelation of the fact that the abortion industry disproportionately attacks minority communities. Here, this little book, it outlines the 8-point strategy that they used. They had a Catholic strategy. They had a African-American pastor strategy. They had a media strategy. And one of them was just to make up statistics, just out of whole fabric, manufacture lies, which a complicit media just began repeating. And if you repeat a lie long enough, often enough, it becomes just accepted. And there are no fact checks going on. And so as this happened, these lies were told over and over. They're by design. And Dr. Nathanson himself is the author of those lies and these strategies. So if this would be exposed, and it's very simple, it's inexpensive. We want to get this in the hands of every Christian. About half of Christians are registered to vote, and only about half of those will vote. Yeah. If the Christians rose up with the truth in their hands and voted, we could turn our nation around, and I believe overturn Roe v. Wade and save so many lives and so much suffering. You know, I'm a pastor, Melissa, and I have for many, many years ministered to women who were caught up, believed the lies, felt like they had no other option but to have an abortion. And I'm forever saying there's hope and healing.
Yes.
There's no condemnation. Nobody wants to judge you. We want to love you.
Yes.
And yet, ask you, reach out to you, ask you to help us arm others with the truth so that they're aware that there are options and there's every reason to have hope, and help us keep others from falling into the lies of the enemy of our soul, which is the devil himself, who's telling these lies. The author of those lies in the natural, Dr. Bernard Nathanson, recanted, said, we were lying. That's not the truth. Please get my message out. His dying message to Terry Beatley that was interviewing him was, please get this message out and save the unborn.
So good. Yeah, I can't even imagine what he carried knowing this. And, you know, for you out there that are wondering about this book and, you know, how could such lies be propagated? And you know me and any of the, you know, history I like to look into, and it is literally lined out in the Nazi agenda in Mein Kampf called the Big Lie. And the whole thing is, if we tell a big enough lie that people would say it has to be the truth, right? That would be too absurd not to be. And we tell it enough that the public will actually believe it. Go read that, inform yourself, because we literally can see it throughout the media messaging right now. But what blew my mind was that it was an explicit playbook for what this doctor did. And we all fell for it. And how many times have we thought about, you know, the Nazis and what happened to the Jewish people? And we think, how in the world could they have fallen for that? How in the world could they have believed, you know, that the Jewish people were dogs and all of the kind of the crazy things that drove that, and how could the Germans stand by, and, you know, the how could, and yet here we are. I'm saying the same thing in regards to the whole pro-choice, the whole abortion, the, you know, 55 million babies aborted. How could that be? And it's literally because we were fed lies.
Right.
And I think it's so important that the one that literally came up with the lies and helped to build them has actually recanted and not just said it's not true, but bringing what is true. You know, so in this fact booklet, it's not just saying what wasn't true, but what is true. So it's very meaty little booklet. I really, really challenge you. Don't just buy one for yourself, because I promise you, as soon as you read this, you are going to want to get it into the hands of everybody you know. If you are a truth lover like I am, if you're one of my followers, I know you are. So get a hold of these books. At least get 20 of them, because you're going to want them, and obviously you're going to get that discount. I'm getting a case of them. So get as many as you can, get them into the hands of people. There are so many people that are on the fence. The only reason why people are on the fence is because they're not informed. They don't know. And in this day and age of false media and all of that kind of stuff, nobody knows what to believe.
Right.
So I want to encourage you, this book, you know, straight out of the man's mouth, explains the lie and the truth. You're not going to get any better facts on this. And it's a shame that, yes, as Pastor mentioned, this is a direct affront to minority communities. It's a direct affront to the socioeconomical, community, because it's always in impoverished areas. It's always in areas of minorities. You guys know my heart for the minorities in this nation. And to me, it's just absolutely, disgusting that these places are planted right. It's, right in front of their faces, and they're fed these lies that they don't have any other options, or that the child's not even a human or doesn't feel anything, etc. And you guys need to hear this truth. Please, 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 I implore you to get a hold of these books. And right now, in this critical election season, right, we need the truth out there. And we have an amazing SCOTUS that we're hoping and praying is going to add to the Supreme Court that is pro-life, that can help get this message out as well. We have two very different ideologies in the presidential election, one being very strongly pro-life, which I'm just going to say in and of itself is pro-minority, whether you like it or not. But when we stop abortion that attacks minorities, you have to say being pro-life is actually being pro-minority, because it's supporting the life of them. And we need to know what those ideologies are on the political platforms. And one is okay with killing babies even after they're completely born. There's been discussion about, well, let's set the baby aside, make it comfortable, and decide if it's going to live afterwards. There's all the way to that extreme to the pro-life. And it is our mission to get the truth out so you can make an informed decision. I know you are an intelligent woman. I know we have men watching too, but that I believe when we get this education into the hands of the men and women in this nation, then they can vote educated. It's hugely important, you guys, hugely important. Pastor, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about on this?
Well, there's so much. It's a deep subject, and there's so much there. And thank you for the opportunity to bring this booklet to your audience. And again, I just want to emphasize, whatever you order, I'll pay the shipping. I'm just trying to get it out there, especially if you would get some for your church, for your pastor to read. As I believe when pastors read this, they're going to want to order some. And I've just taken on the responsibility from this small and important ministry in Washington, D.C., to be their distributor. With the many platforms we have a television ministry as well. And we're getting them out there and offering this. And, it does take money. It's not a fundraiser for us. We're just trying to cover our costs. And if you wanted to give to help me distribute these, please, over and above anything, helps. And time is of the essence, as Melissa was saying. So again, every fact here is documented. Everything is supported and cited. So make no mistake, this is a true and authentic, genuine, accurate fact check on the lies that were used to establish the abortion movement in the United States, and then therefore worldwide. So this can have untold impact if we could just simply get the truth out there of the strategies the enemy has used. And so with regard to what's happening in our nation right now, I'm convinced that the prayer movement is bigger than ever. I was just in Washington, D.C. I had the privilege of being in the Rose Garden for the president's announcement of Amy Coney Barrett as his nominee for the Supreme Court. And over 200,000 people descended on Washington, D.C. to pray for our nation, to repent for our sins. And abortion is our national sin.
Yes.
So I believe just as God would have spared Sodom if there had been 10 righteous ones, I believe God is going to move in our nation yet with a great awakening because look, over 200,000 were crying out, Lord, have mercy on our nation. And so I'm convinced there are still good days ahead. We still have a window of opportunity to impact. The end is not quite here. The Lord is giving us a reprieve to get the truth out and sweep as many into his kingdom as possible. And I think this little book, it is just one of the tools God wants to use. So please go to ramiropena.org. There's a tab at the top that says merchandise, and you can follow the prompts for ordering after that. And if you can support us in this effort to get the truth out, please be generous and do so and help us. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely go. You guys, Pastor is worldwide on his television show. Go to the website. You can find out all about that. I promise you, if you are not familiar with Pastor Ramiro, get familiar with him. He is a man on a mission, and you will absolutely fall in love with him, just like I have. He's such an amazing man. The other thing I want to drop on you guys is he is, join us because Dave and I are going to Israel in March. They go to Israel every year, and we are super excited to be able to go. Dave and I will be celebrating our anniversary on that trip, so come celebrate with us. It's going to be so much fun. All that info's on the website, right, Ramiro?
Yes, it is. It's easy to find, and it's in March this coming year. And we still have room. Not a lot of room. We still have room. So I encourage your friends to get in touch with us if they didn't.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And you guys go ramiropena.org. Check it out. Get this booklet. Donate. Support this ministry. Let me tell you, Ramiro's doing so many amazing things, actually all over the world. And I could not encourage you enough to sow into good ground. If you really want to have a personal harvest, you always want to make sure you're sowing into good ground. And Ramiro and his ministry and his outreach is such good ground. So go there, check it out, get the booklet, donate, help get this into the hands of other people, you guys. It does take money. And all of us can jump in a little bit here, a little bit there. It makes a world of difference. So THV Nation, I hope you enjoyed the show. I enjoyed having you, and we will see you